What's up, guys? So in today's video, we're taking a look at one of Lenovo's most premium laptops, the Slim Pro 9i. And this thing is well deserving of that Pro moniker. I mean, it is built for creative professionals through and through. Everything from the 3K mini LED display to the awesome CPU and GPU combination packed under the hood, all the way to the really thin and light aluminum chassis design that we get with this machine. I mean, it's all built for creative professionals that are on the go, but still need that level of performance to meet their, application or workflow needs. But although this thing is great on paper, there are still some questions that I need to get answered in this video to see if it's actually worth an investment. Everything from, does the CPU and GPU perform as expected, or are we giving up too much performance because of the thin and light nature of this laptop, to, does the 3K mini LED display live up to all of the hype? It's, again, great on paper, but what is it like in everyday use in applications like Premiere Pro or Photoshop or DaVinci Resolve? All the way to, are the speaker, microphone, camera setup good enough for a professional that needs it for, everyday Zoom calls, to maybe even editing audio off of the built-in speaker? So all those questions need to be answered to see if this thing is truly worth a buy, is truly worth the price of this high-quality premium laptop from Lenovo. So hopefully we answer all those questions throughout the course of this video, but let's first just start off with the specs of this machine. So in terms of specs, we're looking at an Intel Core i7-13705H, which is a super power efficient 14-core CPU that has 6 performance cores that are multi-threaded, boosting up to 5 gigahertz, and an additional 8 efficiency cores boosting to 3.7 gigahertz. So plenty of performance on the CPU side, but what is intriguing about this thin and light laptop is the fact that it comes with a dedicated GPU. In this particular model, we have the RTX 4050, but you can get that spec'd up to an RTX 4060 with up to 80 watts of power delivery to the GPU. So yeah, maybe not getting the full power out of the likes of a 4060 at that wattage, but still a lot of performance packed into a small form factor. Now, when it comes to memory, we're looking at 32 gigabytes of DDR5 6400 megahertz memory, which is soldered onto the board, but leaves very little to be desired in terms of both speed and capacity. When it comes to our storage, we're looking at a 1 terabyte SSD, and all of that hardware under the hood is powered by a 75 watt-hour battery with Rapid Charge Pro capabilities, meaning you can charge all the way up to 50% in just 30 minutes. And that charging rate is also thanks to this 140 watt charging brick, which is honestly very, very small for the wattage that it's delivering to this machine, and it's super easy to lug around along with your laptop. And now that we get a full glimpse under the hood, you can see this thing is actually pretty serviceable outside of that soldered on memory, but you get full access to your SSD. You also have access to your Wi-Fi card, batteries, any fans or heat sinks that may need to be replaced. The boards are actually also pretty replaceable as well, but of course those are going to come at a cost. Overall serviceability on this thing looks generally good. So we ran this thing through its paces in Cinebench R23 to really test out the performance, and we ended up with a score of right around 16,800, which is very reasonable for the 13705H. And that was with the extreme performance mode on in Lenovo Vantage in terms of cooling performance, which ramps up the fans at the sake of noise. But we also tested for temperatures with Furmark and Cinebench in intelligent cooling mode, as well as the extreme performance mode. Intelligent cooling is going to bring down your fan noise, but of course drop your wattage and your core clocks of both your CPU and GPU by around half, which is definitely going to limit performance. And if we put in extreme performance mode, you're looking at closer to around 80 to 85 C on the CPU and around 75 C on the GPU at the core clocks you're looking at on the screen. But the big thing with that is, of course, battery life. So running this thing in intelligent cooling mode is, of course, going to extend your battery life on the Slim Pro 9i. But even in extreme performance mode, I was looking around an hour and a half to 2 hours of pretty in-depth editing workload on this machine. And then if you're looking around 1080p video playback at 25% screen brightness, you're looking at close to almost 7 or even 8 hours of screen on time with this device. But the one true selling feature that sold me on this laptop has to be the display. I mean, we're talking 3K resolution, 165 hertz refresh rate, 0.2 millisecond response time. It's got touch capabilities. we're looking at 100% sRGB, DCI-P3, and Adobe RGB color coverage, a delta E of less than 1. We're also talking 1200 nits of peak brightness in HDR, 600 nits brightness in SDR. Overall, just amazing capabilities out of a display, and that's all thanks to the mini LED technology that powers this panel. So let's just take a look at the HDR performance of this display. It's honestly breathtaking. Like looking at this thing in person, it almost hurts your eyes looking at that 1200 nits across the entire screen. Like just looking at these visuals, as you can see, like the camera even has to dim the entire surrounding so much pitch black in order to compensate for how bright the screen and what's on that screen is getting. Overall, it's just really breathtaking when you're looking at this thing. Editing on it is a dream. And then when it comes to bloom, being that it is a mini LED display, you can see there is very, very little bloom. The white to the black space is almost like a perfectly clean line. Very little bloom on this thing. And the 165 hertz refresh rate really does aid for, even if you did want to use this thing for gaming. Now, there is slight ghosting on the trailing edge in this UFO test, but overall, the response time, the refresh rate of this display suits itself for gaming as well. Now, although performance and display quality might be the two main things you really consider when buying a laptop, either as a creator or as a professional, there's a lot of other things that go into making the decision on which laptop you should buy. And for me, next up has to be ports. And ports are aplenty on the Slim Pro 9i. I mean, on the right side of the device, we got dual USB Type A, 3.2 Gen 1 ports, as well as a microphone headphone combo jack and a physical e-shutter switch to shut off access to the camera. And then on the left side of the device, we have an HDMI port, dual USB-C ports, one being Thunderbolt 4 and the other one being a 3.2 Gen 1 port. And then we also have a full-size SD card slot to transfer photos or video directly from your camera to your laptop. So some really nice port selection on this. I really do like the Type A ports as well as the HDMI. Really bringing ports back to professional laptops is a good thing. I mean, having just Thunderbolt or just USB Type-C on a laptop of this caliber just doesn't really feel right for the workloads that people need to perform on laptops like this. And the Slim Pro 9 doesn't just stop with the performance, the display, and the ports. We also have a very, very nice keyboard on this machine with 15 millimeters of key travel and a very, very big trackpad, a glass trackpad that, again, performs super, super well for a machine of this caliber. It's what you'd expect out of a laptop like this. I mean, it performs as expected when it comes to those two areas. Now, we're also getting some really, really good sound out of this machine. We're looking at dual 2-watt woofers and then dual 1-watt tweeters, all powered by Dolby Atmos. So let's just take a quick listen to the speaker setup. So I mean, yeah, you can hear it. It sounds pretty good. And then we get a quad mic array and a 5 megapixel webcam, which is just great for video calls. Let's just take a quick listen and look at both of those. Overall, the camera and microphone setup on this device are pretty good. I mean, I could probably use a little bit more clarity and resolution in the camera itself. The 5 megapixels seems good on paper, but maybe not the best in actuality, but good enough for the majority of video calls that you're going to take. But the quad mic array is very good at picking up sound. So overall, the sound performance, both from a sound output and sound input, as well as the webcam, are really good on this device. And we can't forget that this thing is just 0.85 inches thick and just 3.7 pounds, thanks to its all aluminum construction. So overall, I mean, it's thin, it's light, and it's super strong. Overall, there is very little to complain about this Slim Pro 9i. I mean, the display quality is honestly breathtaking. The performance is really, really good for such a thin and light machine. And the overall construction of this device is superb. We're not really giving up too much performance based on the hardware that's inside of this thing, especially in that performance-oriented mode. The display is definitely living up to the hype. I mean, the refresh rate, the response time, the brightness, the HDR quality is just amazing. And overall, I mean, even the little things, like the webcam maybe isn't the best, but it's good enough for the majority of users. The speakers are great. The microphone quality is also really, really good. So like this thing is perfect for creators. Light enough to carry around, lug in a laptop, and get awesome performance whenever you need it. So video editing on this thing is a breeze and is a dream, especially with this display. So the only thing that's really maybe holding it back a little bit is the price point, which is for this particular model, which is the i7-13705H and the 4050, you're looking at right around $1,850 today on Best Buy. But it'll be a little bit pricier for the 4060 version if you want a little bit more GPU performance. Overall, I mean, it's a little pricey, but the display that you're getting, the performance on the inside, in my mind, it's definitely worth the price. But I'd love to get your guys' opinions, so leave those down in the comments below. Any questions or comments, leave those down there as well. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, get subscribed to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.